Now we're going to be turning to the world of finance with Forum Daily's weekly market update featuring Catherine Murray, host of The Buck Stops Here. Take it away, Catherine, all yours.
Thanks, Nima. Hello, everyone, and welcome to your weekly market recap. I am Catherine Murray. Well, we are seeing North American markets mixed. U.S. markets are pulling back after 1% gains yesterday, and the TSX is up mildly on the day. We're also seeing the price of gold up by about 1%. Oil continues to move higher. Bitcoin is down by about 1.4%, and the Canadian dollar is largely unchanged versus the U.S. dollar. A couple of items, of course, to mention. Let's starting with the price of oil. Continues to move higher. There are analysts out there saying that we could see $100 oil. And again, this goes back to the extension of the OPEC plus production cuts and a lack of supply. There has been a significant lack of supply and production over the past 10 years, really due to the vilification of the energy sector. Away from that, we of course have learned that the UAW failed to reach an agreement yesterday and that they are implementing targeted strikes at all three major auto dealers. We'll see how that plays out in Canada. And remember that that they're looking for wage increases to the tune of 36%. Away from that, in the United States, the economic data came in a little bit better than expected, specifically New York manufacturing data and industrial production. However, consumer sentiment did pull back. The bullish narrative within the marketplace right now continues to be peak Fed policy. In other words, no more rate hikes. We'll see if that happens. Next week, they will be meeting once again. And also a pickup in China's economic recovery. We did get a little bit better than expected results. And also, of course, the PBOC, their central bank, added some stimulus to the economy. So that's a positive. And then also the sell-side commentaries from their various conferences was on the positive side, or at least in line with the second quarter conference calls from these various managers of publicly traded companies. So the CEOs were pretty much saying what they said when they last reported the results. So in other words, not deterioration as they see it now. So that's a positive. The bear case, of course, is that we continue to see this upward pressure on rates. The 2-year yield is above 5% right now. That is concerning for some investors, and there are people, of course, who believe that the U.S. Federal Reserve isn't done hiking rates. We'll see next week. Away from that, a couple of key items to watch. Apple, there's more reports that more European countries are reviewing the supposed increased radiation from their most recent iPhone release, which was this week. So watch that closely. And also it's important to take a look at what companies are saying as it relates to the economy. And the semiconductor company TSM apparently is saying to their suppliers to hold off on deliveries of the high-end equipment due to customer demand. We're also hearing that Nucor did guide their third quarter 10% below what the street was expecting due to volume as well as pricing. And then UBS is out with a report saying that Harley-Davidson dealers are seeing a dramatic decline in their retail sales or retail activity in the July-August time period. So perhaps that's a bit of a reading on the consumer, the state of the consumer. As it relates to the TSX, as I mentioned, it is moving slightly higher. Of course, the energy shares have been moving higher as well on the back of an increased price of oil. And we've also, of course, learned that Trudeau has cut taxes on rental construction. That's something that a lot of developers have been calling for quite some time to tackle the affordability issue. And we've also, of course, heard that he is requesting that the grocery stores come up with some type of strategy to stabilize prices. And of course, food and fuel are what people are really feeling the impact on their monthly budgets. No doubt about that. We'll see if it abates, but difficult to see that coming anytime soon, again, with the price of oil higher. And we have a lot of extra costs here in Canada as it relates to operating a business. And that obviously gets passed through to the consumer, and that is on the back of increased regulation. Speaking of which, I had a great conversation, Nima, with the former Premier of Saskatchewan, Brad Wall, who's so credited with growing their economy. We will air that this Sunday at 9 a.m. on the Buck Stops Here with Catherine Murray. Tune in. He gave us a lot of good information and insights and a few inside baseball stories that we got to have a couple of chuckles with. So that's Sunday. And I'll leave it there, Nima. Back to you.
Thanks, Catherine. Again, that was Catherine Murray, host of the Buck Stops Here with Forum Daily's weekly market update. Remember, for more financial coverage, you could always tune in to the Buck Stops Here every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern, only on the News Forum Network.